right into a sea, an absolute mass of his people. It was the craziest scene I had ever witnessed. Hey everybody, Laura Sanko here. Just wanted to hop on and make a quick video because today we got the news that the legend himself, the king of Rio, Jose Aldo, is retiring from MMA and therefore from the UFC. Has been released from his contract and looks like we will not be seeing him compete in mixed martial arts anymore. It's I don't know that it's the wildest news. Certainly toward the end of his career, I think we all knew that. But in my mind, at least, I always envisioned Jose Aldo having a giant send off and the gloves inside of the octagon and all of the pomp and circumstance that goes with that. So I wanted to hop on here real quick and I guess kind of just offer up I know, a little ode to Jose Aldo and his greatness. And then yeah, I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts in the comments below. I've been traveling a lot with Contender Series, so I've been a little bit less active in the comment section. But from here on out, as Contender Series starts to wind down, I'll be a lot more active and reading everything that you guys say. So yeah, I guess I just wanted to take a second and I don't know, go wax poetic, I guess, about the greatness of Jose Aldo. I mean, it's crazy to think to me, this is a real page, a real turning of the page, a real chapter change for the UFC and for the featherweight slash bantamweight division in particular. Obviously, Jose Aldo was one of, if not the greatest featherweight of all time. When you think about his career, I feel like you have to, unless you watched him in the WEC and then make that transition to the UFC, it's hard to have a full appreciation, and particularly if you're a fan who is someone who's come into the sport because we were the only thing on during COVID or because of Connor. There's maybe not the appreciation for Jose Aldo that I think should exist. I mean, he started his career in 2004 outside of the UFC, outside of WEC, and for 10 years, he had one loss, and it was outside of the UFC. I can't remember who it was against. It was something on the Brazilian regional scene, if I remember correctly. But from 2006 to 2014, he was spotless, which is crazy to think about. It's absolutely wild to think about. And it's not just the length of time. I mean, the number of fights that he had during that period of time is just crazy. The people who he beat. But to me, the moment that sticks out about Jose Aldo for me is UFC 142, because you got to remember, this is his third fight in the UFC after the UFC and the WEC, or the WEC was absorbed by the UFC. So now he's a UFC fighter. But that kind of comes with like a new, everything has leveled up, and it's almost like you had to reprove yourself all over again. His first two title defenses were great, but they were not like this. We were used to seeing him just absolutely decimate people in the WEC. A lot of times it was with his kicks, like what he did to Uriah Faber. I mean, cool. He was one of the first people I feel like really weaponized that particular strike. Like he would kick for the sake of kicking, wouldn't necessarily be part of a combination. I mean, it often would with him because he would use it to set up his hands. But my point is, his kicks were something that were so signature to him and so devastating that they became part and parcel of what we thought of when you thought Jose Aldo. But back to my point, UFC 142, now he's facing Chad Mendes. And it's like, okay, we've got Jose Aldo, who has this notoriously sensational takedown defense. But has he faced a wrestler like Chad Mendes, right? And that was the storyline coming into that fight. And not only that, you have to think about the backdrop of this fight. It's in Rio. This is his first opportunity to defend the UFC belt in Rio, where he is from, where he is king of Rio. So now you have the context of the fight being in Rio. And if you've never been to UFC fight in Rio, I didn't have a full appreciation for it until I first covered a UFC fight in Rio. And it's unreal, especially if Jose Aldo is on the card. And I did cover the one where he fought Max Holloway, but that's not the point. UFC 142 is fighting Chad Mendes. First time he's faced a wrestler of this caliber. Will the takedown defense hold up? Well, it did. And the amazing thing about the way that fight finished. Jose Aldo's doing his thing. He's working the leg kicks. Chad Mendes is also doing his thing, though. He's not necessarily getting Jose Aldo down and controlling him for long periods on the canvas, but he is making it difficult for Jose to really get his game off. He had his back for a long period of time. And then, with literally seconds left in the first round of their main event, as Jose Aldo is able to break from Mendes, Mendes has his back and they're kind of standing or they're along the fence. Jose Aldo breaks away and turns in and immediately fires off the most perfectly placed knee you'll ever see in your life at the exact same time that Chad Mendes reshoots, looking to find the hips of Jose Aldo again. And it is just flush. He falls back. I mean, he was out. Jose Aldo landed a couple extra strikes, but point being, knocked him out. And my favorite part about the whole scene, honestly, is I love watching Aldo's face after he does it because he's just like, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. And instead of climbing onto the cage, someone accidentally left the octagon door open. So he just runs right out of the octagon door and right into a sea, an absolute mass of his people. It was the craziest scene I had ever witnessed. I remember watching this on television, just being like, "Oh my gosh, where are the security people?" But it wasn't anything negative. It wasn't Conor versus Khabib, where there were people you were worried about it. It was just pure joy for the UFC fans of Rio and for Jose Aldo. I mean, he was just running around everywhere, getting hugs and love from everyone, from his manager, from the crowd, from da da da. It was an absolutely sensational key moment for him, a pivotal point in his career, and he went on to do many, many more great things, of course. But that's the one, if you were to ask me what's your favorite Jose Aldo moment, that's the one that always sticks out for me. It's amazing to think what he accomplished as a featherweight, the records that he held, most finishes at featherweight, most wins at featherweight. I think Max might have beaten him on that with his last one. I can't remember, but regardless, the impact that he had on that featherweight division. And then to go on a little bit of a skid and to make the adjustment to go down is crazy because if anything, I thought he'd go up. I mean, I just remember thinking, he had a hard time making featherweight many times. But for him to make the adjustment, have the discipline, go to bantamweight, and then accomplish quite a bit at bantamweight, and now to retire and to step away from the UFC and to step away from MMA, still ranked number 6 in the bantamweight division. Not many people get a chance to do that. I think I'm sure I've said this on this channel before. I know I've said it on other platforms before. Going out on your own terms in this sport is really difficult to do. You see a lot of people want to do it and they just can't let go because, in the practice room, they're beating the same guys that they've been beating for years. So I must still be on that level, right? I still have it in me. They're still able to, I can still run 5 miles and however long time it is. Like they think they still have it. And then, but as fans, we can see it start to fall away in fights. And it's a hard thing to watch when your heroes become human. But Jose Aldo has done what for many people is impossible. And he's gone out on his own terms, in his own timing, ranked number 6 in what is arguably the deepest division in the UFC right now. And what a career he's had. What a legacy he has left. He's not currently in the Hall of Fame as of me making this video, but I have no doubt that he will be there in short order. He is a pillar of what made the UFC great. He was a pillar of making that transition from the WEC to the UFC, one of the greatest featherweights of all time. And I'm sad to see him go, but I'm happy for whatever lies in his future. Just wanted to drop a little Jose Aldo love on my YouTube page. And I want to know what your favorite Jose Aldo moment is. Take a second and write me a note in the comments. Maybe it's a moment that you can remember where you were watching the fight, just a moment it doesn't even have to be in a fight, to be honest with you. Any favorite Jose Aldo moment, drop it in the comments. I want to hear what you guys think. And yeah, congratulations to Jose Aldo. We wish you best of luck in whatever your future may bring.